Okay, are we on? I've got your recorder going.
Yes.
All right, let's call our meeting to order. This is Tillamook County Budget Committee, meeting on our third and final day of this week. There's one additional half day or so in about in the middle of May, at which time we actually balance the budget and send it forward for the final approval in June. So today we have a full day, although I just heard there's possibly one vacancy that we can adjust as we go forward. But we're trying to get out of here, well, maybe towards the end of the day. But in any event, it's a full day.
For tomorrow.
Yes. And we'll ask the presenters to do their best to stay in their assigned time bracket in respecting that everybody has an opportunity to appear before the committee. So the first item is opening remarks, and I think that means the six of us. So I'll ask my colleagues here if there's anyone who has any observations or comments that he or she would like to put on the record before we actually start.
I don't think so.
We're good.
I think we did that pretty well on day one.
Okay, we did. And for those who might be listening in, the way this works, we'll go through the agenda, and at the end, which will be somewhere close to 3:45 or 4 o'clock, maybe earlier, the six of us spend a little time then with the treasurer and others talking about where we do have a shortfall in terms of income matching revenues, matching proposed expenditures, and give some direction to staff on how to balance the budget. And we'll probably first hear from the treasurer with her recommendations and then go from there. But that's what happens at the end of the day. So now let's go to tax and assessment, and it looks like we've got the usual suspects here in the room, and a very nice handout, which looks helpful. So who is presenting for you folks?
Hi, my name is Cassandra Larson. I'm Chief Deputy Assessor and Tax Collector. And with
Okay.
me is Lori McKibben, our Chief Appraiser, and Denise Van de Koevering, our Assessor.
Okay, so go right ahead and walk us through your budget, and we'll take an opportunity to interrupt you if we have questions as we go, if that's okay, so we don't have to go back and forth. So go ahead.
Okay, sure. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over statistics first and highlight what happened in the previous year. And then Lori's going to take over and talk about the appraisal section, and then we're going to go into the budget, and then Denise is going to speak for a little bit, I think. So I'm ready.
Yeah, you're a presenter. You can share your screen.
You realize the three of you, you're ganging up on us, right?
How do I share my screen?
So go to the BOC meeting, click share.
Oh, sure. Okay.
And then you should be able to, in the windows, where it says window and it's got 8, you should be able to take your screen.
Okay. There we go.
There's often a slight delay in the room, so if you wait just a second, it will
Oh, that's
pop up.
fun.
It will pop up.
It does pop up.
So you're trying to put this spreadsheet
There we
on
go.
the screen?
There you go. You're
Well,
up.
that's why I gave you a handout. Is I think it's a lot of data, and
Well, there may be people online, I'm not sure how many, but it looks like a fair number, so it's helpful to get everything up so everyone can see.
okay. So I'm not going to go over every year, but I want to kind of hit the major landmarks that we had this year. This is property tax certification statistics. Our number of accounts from 21 to 22 rose 202. So 30,335 tax accounts that we are responsible for. Taxes levied went from 65 million to 69 million. That's a 5.2% increase. Our total assessed value, now this by statute is raised 3% a year, so anything over 3% is new construction, new tax lots, that kind of thing. That went from 5.7 billion to 6 billion. That's 5.5% increase. Now this is the big one for the year. Our total real market value in 21 was 8.6 billion. It rose 29.2% to 11.1 billion.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. Okay.
This is our second highest increase in the past 20 years. Our highest increase was in 2006 when it was 30%.
So how is that calculated, that you do a lot of trending?
Mhm.
Is that essentially how it happens?
Trends and new construction. Yep, new value added to the roll and then trends based on sales. Our median residential home value went from $359,000 to $480,000. It's a 33.9% increase.
Wow.
So, big numbers, big landmarks for Tillamook County this year. Okay, next page.
Only we got all the taxes for that. Then you go up 30%. I know, right? We would be so pretty.
Do you have a crystal ball thought about how much that will fall?
Well, for next year, well, right now we're analyzing the 2022 sales, and in 2022, the market was still pretty good. We still have inventory on the market, so I don't think it's gonna fall drastically, but no, I don't have a crystal ball. We like to predict as much as we can, but we're more experts in analyzing what has happened.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to see the prior to 2006 trend and then then after 2006, because that looks like it was the last huge peak that we had.
Mhm.
And there was, I assume, some drop that came on the backside of 2006 because we had foreclosures and all that stuff. So it would be interesting to see that over time, and maybe you all have that somewhere.
Of course we have
I would
it.
love to see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we have it.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I think that would just be an interesting way to kind of gaze into a very murky crystal ball, right?
Mhm. Okay, so who pays the tax? So out of the amount levied, where does that value come from? Time and time again for Tillamook County, it's residential. 77.72% of our taxes levied comes from residential value. Commercial, industrial, and utility rolls combined make up 13%. Farm and forest make up 7%. And then we have about under 1% for business, personal property, manufactured homes, multifamily, and recreation, and then some miscellaneous accounts.
Can you say who's the largest taxpayer? I know to answer for a number of years, it's either been the Creamery or Tillamook PUD, and it kind of goes back, who is the largest taxpayer now?
I believe it was a creamery. No?
Yeah, I can't pick that out in my brain, but it's one of those two.
Yeah, right, I'm just curious. Okay, thank you.
We have that statistic somewhere.
One other question while you're on this one. Residential, some people who have mortgages, a lot of people have mortgages, but they pay it with through their bank or mortgage lender, and others just pay it outright. Do you know what the split is there roughly?
Yeah, it's on the next,
Oh.
the next
On the other
slide.
side.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
I love those kind of questions. So prepared.
Next.
Okay, so who gets the tax? So tax at, let's see, the largest portion, oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong slide. The largest portion of the tax revenue goes to education and schools at 52.83%. The next is Tillamook County permanent rate, that's just the permanent rate, gets 12.99%. And then below that, we have fire districts at 8.95%. And then it's the rest are water districts, sanitary districts, cities, urban renewal, etc.
So the library is up there,
Mm-hmm.
and then 4.
Next. So this is a new chart that you haven't seen before, and this just explains to you when we levy the tax, which we certify the values in October, and then levy the tax, how much money comes in a 6-week period. By statute, we have to mail tax statements by October 25th. They're due November 15th if you want the 3% discount. They're also due February 15th and May 15th if you elect to pay in thirds. So we mailed the tax statements. This data I want to say is from 2021 because I wanted to show you what happens from October through September when we levy again. So in 21, we levied $65 million. We sent out the tax statements October 20th. From October 20th through the end of November, we collected 89% of that levied amount. We sent out 29,413 statements, and dollar amount, we collected $58 million. That's a lot of money coming in the 6-week period that my staff handles. For the rest of the year, December and January, we collect about 0.5%, which is around $300,000 up to $500,000. Our first trimester is in February. We sent out 3,537 statements, and we collected 1.8 million, which is about 2.5%. Then again, March, April, it's 0.5%. And then in May, we sent out 3,047 statements and collected 1.5 million. By the end of September, we were at 98.57% of the certified amount.
And that's pretty typical for our collection rate, is that right? We tend to, we have very few people that actually don't pay somewhere within that year, is that right?
Yeah, that's a typical collection
Yeah, that's
rate.
pretty typical, which is good.
Isn't the cumulative in arrears somewhere around 5 or 6%? So you have you go three years, when you have 5 years before there's foreclosure, correct? In other words, you go 3 years in arrears, then you have 2 years more for redemption. And so before you bring down the hammer, it's actually 5 years.
6.
6.
6, yeah. It's 3 years delinquent. And then when they owe 4 years, then we start notices of delinquency May 16th. And then we usually have judgment for foreclosure by December, and then they have a 2-year redemption period. So it's actually 6 years, but it can stretch out a
So
little bit
then
more.
at that point of the total amount levied, how much is in arrears at any given time? It's roughly 5 or 6%, isn't it?
Of the current year,
No, of total. In other words, if over that period of time you've collected X amount, what percent of that is still outstanding? In other words, what's the running total? And for some reason I'm thinking 5 to 6%.
yeah,
At any given time is in arrears.
yes. Yes,
Actually,
but-
I don't think it's that high, honestly, but.
Well, it depends on what, we have so much data, it depends on what you're speaking to. If you're speaking to just the current year, or if you're talking about all delinquent tax going back to, the 90s. So I'll have to get that.
Well, that's not critical. I'm just curious. For some reason I was thinking that, and eventually the county gets nearly all the money, even if there's a foreclosure.
Mhm, mhm.
And Doug, I think that 95% figure is what you'll see in the budget documents that the budget districts get for the county. And that if I'm the Fairview Water and I'm levying $100,000, I should multiply that times 95% because
Maybe
that's about what I'm going to
thinking
get.
about.
And that is really a combination of taxes that aren't paid and then the discount.
Yes.
Because everybody could pay in full, and that would be 3% right off the top.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so of that levied amount, we don't collect the full amount because it includes a discount. Okay. Let's see here. So payment processing analysis, this is from this last year. Wanted to show you how people are paying. Lockbox is our payment processing center. That's when you write out a check and you put it in the mail, it goes there. And I want to note that if there's any problem with a payment, if the person writes the check out wrong and it doesn't match the coupon, it comes back to us. So we handle all of the problems. Lockbox accounts for 47% of collection. That was around 28 million.
And use lockbox is an outside processing center that we use. Okay, not like a literal lock. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sorry, catching that.
The next is data exchange, which is 25%, that's 15 million. And data exchange is a program where people choose to pay through their mortgages, and it's electronic. The next is 19% we do in-house. So last year, in that 6-week period, we did a little over 11 million. And I just want to highlight that's 3,424 receipts we did in our office. Electronic is 9% at 5,085,000. Electronic is through our website, our phone, and through bill pay. So you would think in today's day and age that electronic would be the highest way. However, we have to charge a fee. Well, we don't charge a fee. Our credit card and debit card companies charge the fee. So with credit cards, it's 2.49% on the balance, and debit cards, it's $3.95. And that doesn't go to us, that goes to the vendor. So that kind of detours people from paying electronically.
So I use bill pay, and there's no charge on bill pay.
So with bill pay, for it to be electronic, I think it has to be US Bank, because we bank with US Bank. So when you do bill pay though, it's electronic if it's US Bank to US Bank.
Okay.
But for instance, I'm TLC, so if I pay the county, they're gonna send a physical check. And we have to process that because it's a physical check.
It's interesting.
Mhm.
I didn't think my bank sends a physical check. Interesting. Okay.
Unless they have some sort of agreement with US Bank that I'm not aware of, or,
Because when you look on your statement, it'll either say, check number, blah, 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 or it'll say ACH. So you either have an agreement
It
and
is
turn it
ACH,
into
so
an
yes.
ACH.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if people try to use the electronic payment system, will the banks or credit cards charge them the additional
Mhm.
fee? Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder they don't want to do it.
yeah,
Yeah.
unless they want the miles. Now, the $3.95 they can kind of handle, but the 2.49% for a credit card is,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot.
Thank you.
So is that percentage of electronic bill pay increasing over time or staying about the same?
It's the same. Yeah.
And these
So
are
I don't know
interesting
how to
trends.
completely get that data, because all I see is the BCP that comes in electronically. The checks that come in, I don't count if they're from bill pay, because that would be an enormous amount to count.
The trend seems to be to go to some sort of electronic payment, and all bills are all getting pushed that way with all the utilities and things we pay, so I just wonder if it was going up.
If there wasn't the fee, I
Yeah.
think it would be a different story. Absolutely.
But you don't have any control over that.
No.
So your in-house collections, do you have an idea of how much of that is cash?
Mhm.
Can you tell me?
Mm-mm.
On a percentage?
No.
On a percentage?
I would
It's a
prefer-
small percentage.
Okay, that's fine.
It's a small percentage, yeah.
And I understand why you don't want that. Okay. that's
Thank
fine.
you.
Thank you.
It is not our number one form of collection, I will tell you that.
Understand.
No, and that's probably part of why it makes so much sense to use payment processing center for the lockbox center, so that those checks that are going or not, they're not coming through here. It's a huge amount of
Right,
work and exposure.
right.
So I will say our lockbox there is an expense with it.
Sure.
Last year it was $11,590, but that is a lot less expensive than all those checks coming into the county and then being processed in-house.
Correct, yeah, by a person that we would be paying. Yes.
Yeah, our tax season would probably go through December.
Yeah. Right.
Is this distribution roughly comparable to other counties, or do you know? Meaning the method that the money comes in, that would it be the same in Washington County or Benton or Baker or one of those?
I don't know for sure, but I would assume, because they all have to deal with the debit and credit charges, so.
Yeah, I'm surprised there's not more of it that's actually unmortgaged. That's interesting, it's only 25%.
Mhm. Okay, you're gonna love this chart, because this is our payment processing analysis over the past 5 years. So the blue chart there, well, actually, that was the first year we had staff open tills at their desk to help with payments. Before it was just the payment counter, and now we all process payments. Just as a reminder, the orange bar, in 2019, November 15th through 18th, the courthouse was closed due to particulates. And then in 2020, during our tax season, the courthouse was open to the public, but it was appointment only. And then in 21, same thing, due to COVID, closed but open by appointment only. And then this year, we were finally fully open to the public. The amount of phone calls we receive is around 1,200. And again, this is a 6-week period, and that is a staff of 5. Our outside drop box during the COVID years, we had 1,000 people put payments in the drop box. Now we're down to 531. Our inside drop box, 79 during COVID. Now we're up to 243. That's 243 people that came into the courthouse to pay and just put it in the drop box. Inside instead of outside. Desk tills, 2,311 in 2018. Now we're back to doing about the same. We did more during COVID, obviously, because we had more people putting payments in the drop box. Here's the bill pay, the BCP electronic, and you can see it stayed the same the past 5 years, around 1,000. Lockbox, 2018, 13,488 receipts, down to 12,726. Oh gosh, I keep doing that, I'm sorry. Phone payments has stayed about the same. Our website has been increasing, so people are paying that fee, 514 to 1,360. And data exchange, that's people paying by mortgages, went 4,938 from 2018 up to almost 6,000. So one of the things that I wanted you to know is that we thought, and here comes the prediction part, that during COVID people would get used to paying a different way. They would get used to the outside drop box. They would get used to just putting it in the mail. But as soon as we fully opened, our counter payments, again, in 2018 was around 1,300. We're right back there, 1,379. People want to come in and pay. They want to see a receipt and know that it's paid, know that they get their 3% discount. So.
I would have a different answer for that. I think it's because they want the pleasant people that they deal with.
That too.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and a lot of times, they get their bill and they think, oh, I always wanted to ask about this.
Yeah, there you go.
So they come in and they take care about their business.
I have a third answer, because I have used the counter for a counter payment, and I've walked by the drop box outside and thought, that's too lazy. Because really I thought, that's too lazy. You can't just drop this in the box. You work in the building. Go in and give it to somebody. So it's news to me that that's your preferred method, that's the method that's the least work for you guys. I had no idea, and I'm sure other people don't either.
Well, we have our new drop box now that's over on the corner of First and Madrona, and it's drive up. And so we're really excited about that because we've always had an issue with people struggling to get up the stairs. And so this drive up, I'm hoping it'll be a game changer and more people will get used to it. And next year I can come to you and say it's higher, more people are using that.
Okay.
So it is interesting that we send out 29,000 statements, and we have 1,379 in counter payments, 2,045 in desk tills. So we're looking at like 10% of people that feel like they really need to see someone, talk to someone, hand their check to someone. And I think it's interesting also to see if, as we go forward in time, as we see it shifting to a younger population, if we will see that trend change. Who are the people that are coming in and saying, I have to hand it to someone, I need a receipt, and if that will change with generational change in ownership as well.
I believe you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. From the demographic that I see at the counter, I believe you're right.
Yeah.
And there might be an opportunity to do some communication or marketing about the drop boxes, about why that's a great alternative, and how it saves you guys time and effort or something.
Yeah, good idea.
If you had your way, what would you prefer if you had only one method?
Oh, electronic. Checks are, there's always issue, people forget to write the hundreds. They get the date wrong and it's just, I mean, actually having to touch that check, it takes quadruple the amount of work than just processing a payment file.
So it's one of those things that also, when we think about communication, marketing, whether we decided to cover a part of the percentage or something to do an incentive to get people doing electronic processing. I mean, I think there are things that could be looked at there as well. Just, all right, how do we encourage that? You know, because if it's costing us as much time and energy for staff, is it worth it to try to really encourage people the other direction? Something to, just a thought process for the future.
Point Pay is our credit and debit card vendor, and they are throughout Oregon. Even Multnomah County has Point Pay, and so it would take legislation, I would think, almost to get rid of those fees. Or I don't even know legislation. I don't know.
My crystal ball wants to tell me that just seems logical. Why wouldn't the banks want to have it come electronic rather than touching the cash, touching the checks? I think that's going to change. We had a meeting with, I believe, US Bank right before we got the Point and Pay system. I was hoping they would maybe say, okay, we won't charge the fee because we want this kind of payment also. It hasn't happened yet. I think it will. And I do think it's also something with the demographics of the county. I think Tillamook County, the average age is 58, where Washington County, I think it's 38. So we're watching that and how people pay and what's happening in other counties with electronic payments and e-statements. And I don't know if Tillamook County is there yet, but I think we will be.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you, PUD, and some, you know, I'm on the board of PUD. I think there's around 22,000 accounts, and there's a fair number, or over 1,000, that doesn't matter what you do electronically. They want to come in and say hello and have a cookie or whatever, or even do the drive-through. They simply, and I think it's absolutely what you just said, is the demographics. There are people that have been going around this community paying their bills in person for 50 years, and they don't want to stop. Now, eventually that'll change, but anyway, it's interesting to see the mix.
Yeah. Okay.
Make a comment, when I was Mayor of Manzanita, I spent a day working at City Hall, and I was absolutely flabbergasted at how much time was involved with people paying their water bill. As everybody said, they wanted to come in and say hi to people, then you had to handwrite a receipt at the counter, give it to them for the 3-month water bill, which was about $100. And I don't know, it's the demographics thing. Our demographic, I think, is at 60, our average age is 61, and they just want to come by and say hi. It's part of it.
The great thing is that a lot of people, the majority, they're all pleasant.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Oh,
nice
yeah.
to see them, and we at the counter are providing a service for them. So if it can make them a little happier to pay their tax bill,
But I know how
We're there for
different
it.
it is if you're working on a project and somebody comes in the door every 3 or 4 minutes and interrupts you and wants a receipt and hands you their water bill or
Yep.
their property tax bill. But anyway, it is what it is.
But I would build on what Cassandra said. We were talking about it at lunch the other day. It's just people who are want to be angry at the government right now anyway. There's a really good service that's being done by our counter-facing departments when people get to come in and they get to see a real person with a real smile that is kind to them. It takes a little bit of that edge off of government is here, you know, is after me. Because it's not government, it's Cassandra and her staff who are these nice, kind people. So I think there is a balance there as well, as much as we would like to incentivize and be able to, you know, figure out how we see fewer people so that we can be more efficient, particularly as we're coming out of this time of great anger at the government. Her staff is doing us all a kindness, I
I
think.
hope we're coming out of it.
We hope we're coming out of it, exactly. But it is, I think there is that piece as well that the county, you know, it's nice people that makes the county have a better name, so.
thank you.
And it is a pleasant experience.
Oh, great.
To bring in my tax check, it is. You are
Great.
so nice.
I love to hear that. I love to hear that. Okay, so moving on to the 2022 ratio study. Ratio study is done in our office by Lizzie Loftus. It is a complex report that is submitted to the Department of Revenue every year, and that report trends our values. It's a statistical analysis of sales. Before I became Chief Deputy Assessor and Tax Collector, I did this job for, I think, 5 years, so I'm going to be speaking to this report. Okay, this is Tillamook County residential real estate average sale prices. This is through January 1st, 21 through December 31st, 21. Improved properties, so this is average sale price county-wide. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry. Oh, I'm on the wrong one, not, here we go. Okay. Average home prices countywide, this is August 1st, 2020 through July 31st, 21. So as you can see, in 2020, the average home price was $331,000. We had an $86,000 increase, which is 26%, to $416,000. Improved residential sales volume countywide. This is an interesting graph. As you can see, we've been going up and up since 2012. In 2020, we had 686 improved sales. We increased by 177 to 863. Okay.
It was interesting to watch that happen too and wonder, where's all of that money coming from? As the prices went up and up and up and there were more and more buyers, it's kind of fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one question, and I should know this answer, but when a house sells, does that make its assessed value go up to the sales price?
No,
No,
no.
that doesn't seem right.
Does it go up at all? The assessed value go up at all?
So you have real market value, have assessed value. Assessed value is 3% a year unless new
That's it.
construction, that kind of thing. Real market value, we can trend up 20%,
Right.
30%. Assessed value is going to stay at the 3%.
But
Unless there's new
legislative
construction.
fix we need to work
Yeah.
on. So
Yeah.
vote for Representative Weber, or for Senator Weber next
Yeah.
year. Carry on our behalf.
Yeah, you don't want me in.
We could talk all day about tax reform, but we're limited.
And you
So-
only have about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
15
Okay,
minutes.
so I'm gonna
Stop asking so many
It's
questions.
okay, yeah.
It's not your fault at this point.
So this next slide is the 2022 ratio study. Again, I think I said it was 21. Average sale prices countywide. This is residential. 2020, we were at 370,000. Now we're up to almost 500,000. Average sale price Ocean View. So this is improved properties, just Ocean View. We went from almost 540,000 in 2020 to 740,000 in 21. And this is my last slide, and then I'm going to pass it off to Lori. These are Tillamook County property foreclosures. Now, these are not tax foreclosures. These are when somebody defaults on their loan and the property goes back to the bank. And so the good news is that in 21 we only had 4. That is a sharp decrease from 2015.
Yeah.
That's because the bank paid off the tax side of it and then sold it themselves.
This is just, when somebody defaults on their loan and they have to give it back to the bank.
Right, but then the bank can do whatever they want. They can clear all the government liens and sell it themselves at market or below market or whatever they choose to clear their portfolio, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, it would be there.
Goes back out on the market.
Sure.
Okay.
I bought a house once from a bank that way at a considerable discount. I thought it was a great deal, except the owner had not done quite as good a job of maintenance, I learned, but, you know, it's one of those things, you get what you pay for.
Yep.
Thank you, Tassie. That was an excellent report. I've heard nothing but good things about your work at the in this tax office.
Thank you. I had a good start.
All right, so I'll take over from here. You have seen this slide before. It's been updated with the 2022 values. This is specifically related to assessed value and taxes, okay? So we're not talking about the $11+ billion of real market value that we have to manage and adjust to the market changes. This is specifically related to the assessed value and how much each appraiser brings into the office. So if you'll look at that top line 2022, you will see the assessed value at the $6 billion mark. The total tax levied, there's that $69 million that Cassandra referenced earlier. And then I've gone into a breakdown of the exception work. And exception basically means the on-the-ground work that the appraisers have done for that particular year, okay? And so I have then broken that down by per appraiser and then again by how much the general fund actually receives, because as been noted in various presentations over the last couple of days, Tillamook County only gets a small portion of that. The rest Sean sends out to other taxing districts. So the breakdown, the next section there, you can see this is just an example, like in 2019, what the per appraiser breakdown was at that 20,000 plus. I do add the CAFA grant in that. That's just an estimated number that changes up and down slightly from year to year, but we do receive basically some funding from the state that is based on the number of employees at Tillamook County, and that is roughly about 18,000 per appraiser. So you can see in a very short amount of time, the appraisers pay for themselves, so they are worth their weight in gold. All right. On the next slide, I want to give you an update. Last year I come to you and asked you for some funding to rewrite our maintenance tracking system. So that's basically our to-do list. Jeff Underwood and I worked together on that, and I'm happy to report that that program is almost complete. I actually have a meeting after this one today to do some final tweaks to that program. So that is up and running. The next section, Power BI. So we currently are using Access to do most of our data pulling, analysis, things of that nature. We have tons of data in our system, as you can imagine. And so we are looking for ways to be more efficient in how we analyze that data, how we can dig into it a little deeper, and how we can, what tools are available to us that are more user-friendly. Access is very, you need to know how to put in each expression and this and that and the other thing, and it's just really not that easy to use. Microsoft, their Power BI is very user-friendly, and I've been dabbling in it, and I'm excited about it, and so we're going to start training our staff in how to use that, and I think it's going to be really bring some efficiencies to all of our analysis that we have to do every year, our land studies, our hot spots, all that market analysis that we're doing. The last section on here, we did order Ford Escape last year. That was budgeted for, and we are hopefully going to be getting it in the next couple of weeks.
Haven't got it yet.
So it's yeah, we're real close.
We
right?
keep getting the notifications that it's going to be here. It's
Yeah.
going to be here.
Yeah, so we're excited about getting that, and then we will be giving one of our Ford Tauruses to the veterans. So
Great.
we're going to pass it.
Perfect.
Okay, let's see, the next slide is, our succession plan. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on what we have going on. This is a list of the staff in our office and I put their years of experience because I think that's nice when we're talking about retention, as well as our continuing education requirements. They're pretty steep for us. This is a biennium basis. So we have to do some planning about how many hours we think that we're going to, potentially need based on vacancies that are going to be coming up pretty soon, and what that's going to mean, because that does mean an increase in education. So we're always projecting what that's going to look like. So you will see a slight increase once Cassandra starts going through our budget for continuing education. There's no choice. It's required by the state of Oregon to keep our registrations to do the work that we do. And we have done some estimates on how much those per hour costs are. We're always looking for free training. It's less and less available. So it is what it is.
Are these credit hour, actual hours, or some kind of credit hours, or you say 45 hours, that's actually 45 hours in a classroom?
It is.
Or in front of a screen? Or
Yes, it is. Mm-hmm. So in anticipation of the retirements that are coming, I have, and I'm one of those, I'm focusing on cross-training employees. So our goal is to have at least 2 employees in every position trained. And that is including, but not limited to, sales, ratio analysts, commercial and industrial, exemptions, appeals, both locally at the magistrate and tax court levels. Software management, we have our ORCAT system, we've got our new AIMS or tracking system. We have DOR annual reporting requirements, the ratio report being one of those, local cost modifier studies, land setup studies, and role certification. So again, it's just data, lots and lots of data everywhere. So I'm also creating a master guide to my position and with procedures, timelines, and things of that nature, just to try to help ease the, hopefully they have all the information that they need and it'll be a very seamless transition. So with that, I just wanted to mention, you can see the years of experience up there. We have some very experienced and qualified people in our office that over the years have expressed an interest in both my position and running for assessor. So that's good news that we have people interested in doing that. And I'm excited to see what happens. So that's all that I have for you, unless you have some questions.
Sure, if I may. So, Gloria, I appreciate very much everything you've done for the county and everything you will continue to do for the county. I know you were at the buyout meeting we had last Wednesday, and you just stepped right up and said, hey, assessment really needs to do an analysis, socioeconomic analysis. So the buyout, no officially FEMA buyout, currently in the NEPA process. And one of the big things that they have to look at by law is a socioeconomic analysis of what this buyout might do to Tillamook County. And it's going to kill Tillamook County. Lori's stepped right up and wants to use our systems to develop, what's in the floodplain, what's not in the floodplain, what that's going to mean to Tillamook County economically. I appreciate that so much. I really do. This is one of the areas that could save Tillamook County.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for your work on that.
You
I
are
really
very
do
welcome.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And thank you for developing, you just said master guide to your job, I forget what you called it. But thank you for that, because
Yeah.
that requires a lot of work on your part, and it'll be invaluable. I really appreciate the thought and the planning that you've put into the transition.
Yeah, you're welcome. I just think about what I would want if I were to step into a position, and it's super valuable to have. And I have put a lot of time and energy into the position, and anything that I can do to make sure or ensure that happens, continues to happen when I leave, I'm all about doing that.
Thank you.
What if we say you can't leave?
Good luck with that.
Yeah. Well, HR says I can.
Overruled.
Overruled, yes.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So, on your budget itself, then I'm looking at, it's no change in FTE, you're still at 15 across the whole department.
We are fully staffed.
You're fully staffed.
Finally, yay. I know.
And the data speaks for itself, so I'm pretty comfortable with rolling forward, and others.
I
Yeah.
am too.
Yes. And thank you for the presentation, both of you, it was great.
You're welcome.
Did you have more
One
in your
thing-
presentation?
Sorry?
Did you have more in your presentation?
No, I was gonna go over the budget, but I mean, it's gone down, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
I looked it
You're
over.
okay, we're okay.
Like Doug, I think it's terrific.
Well, one last question, not well, sort of related, but the spike in housing, and I think we all would agree that, housing goes like this, and it may go on rising. Are other counties that don't have oceanfront, for one thing, are they anything close to this, or are we, along with other coastal counties, are we unique in Oregon, or in the state?
As far as sales
Well,
is
let's
concerned,
pick
I mean,
some
Tama
quick-
County is unique.
The
I
growth,
mean,
yeah.
that's is that our county has so many different types of property. We go from
Yes.
ocean view to farms to river. I believe we are the most diverse in our land type.
Say if you took some of the central or eastern Oregon, there's basically a lot of dry land and agricultural or farming, ranching. They haven't seen this heavy-duty spike of people moving in from elsewhere, or have they?
Well, Deschutes County has,
Yes.
Crook County has. There's twice as many people on this planet than there were 50 years ago.
Yes.
So the recreational areas definitely are.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm. And up and down the coast definitely are.
Mr. Chair, I think Director Van Koodring has something to say.
I just wanted to address briefly the GIS programmer position that was recently vacated. I've advocated for a GIS programmer for years. I believe GIS is our future. It's technology that can bring things together and make it easier to pull out. The county has been very fortunate to have someone to hold the GIS program together for quite a few years now. But now we need some innovation. Michael Suits basically, built the web map before his retirement. Wendy updates it, but she's afraid to add anything to it or make changes in fear of breaking it. And we don't have a programmer to fix it. The new version of Esri that she's taking classes now and learning about is very different. We need somebody to administer the enterprise server and build our maps and applications. There's a lot we could be doing to streamline our processes and improve community engagement, which improves efficiencies and saves time. We need new maps to replace our GeoMoose maps that we have now. We need field maps for the appraisers and possibly public works. Community development uses GIS quite a bit. Rachel uses GIS quite a bit. We need integration of various data sources into the GIS to make it more accessible. Possibly create a hub that would help all the entities in Tillamook County with their data sharing. And I just wanted to say too, there's a lot happening in the GIS world at the state level. There was some recent legislation that created the OGIC, Oregon
Geographic Information
Council. Yeah. And they want to have some stuff that they're putting together up and running by June. We need to be ready for this. It could be imagery, it could be different layers and how it's all connected. And I always say I'm the least techie person in the courthouse. So I don't know exactly how to do it. I know what I need it to do for my office. I think it could do a lot more for a lot of the different departments, the different districts. So I just want to support, like I have 4 years, to get a GIS program.
Can you speak to the success over the last year when we had a GIS program, or were we able to move some of those things forward?
No.
Okay. And do you think there's a contract capability that might be better suited to do some of this structural work that we're talking about to get us where we need to be, given the challenges of hiring an ongoing employee with the right expertise? Do you know of other counties that are using anything like that, where maybe, because we're talking about, it sounds like a very structural rebuild at our GIS level, and that maybe that's a contract rather than an employee?
You know, we tried that years ago.
Yeah.
That didn't work out. Honestly, Erin, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know that we've got to look at it. We've got to get those really smart people that work and deal with that all day, every day, and help. It's mainly the, getting the computer part of it. Wendy is great with working with the cartography and the existing programs, but it's the stuff coming in and the stuff going out. That's more computer technology that we don't have anybody to fix or to help.
Thank you. I hear clearly that GIS capacity and technical knowledge is important. I think our challenge becomes, how do we gain that at the county, and is an employee the right answer for that, given experiences we've had and just the structural nature of it. So, but I appreciate you surfacing the issue.
And, PUD has a couple great GIS people. Different cities have
Don't
GIS.
Don't be quick to steal them.
Well, and I mean, and just throwing this out there, that's also something that might be the future, is maybe we need some kind of, rather than each agency
that's not a bad
reinventing the
idea
wheel.
at all, given it's the same database essentially.
Right.
So I agree with that. I was just thinking that, there's possibility.
That's a great idea. Thank you
And
for bringing that up.
Yeah, Wendy does go to a monthly meeting, I think, with the different GIS people in the county. It's been a great resource, but we need to figure it out a little bit better, so we're not all reinventing the wheel each time. PUD's not doing it, we're not doing it, every other organization isn't doing it, and what's happening at the state level may help in this also, but I agree. I think it's, the tax base, we've got so much information in our database that with the aerials and the imagery and all the different layers all connected can save so much time.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I love that idea. We'll have to see where the right convening is, if PUD has that sort of expertise to potentially lead a
We'll
convening.
take that up at a next meeting. I will guarantee you that.
Thank you, Doug. That's fabulous. Thank you
And
very much.
thanks for talking about it.
Absolutely, yeah. We need to know what the challenges are and see if there are better ways to come at it. So thank you for that.
All right, what else? We're now slightly behind, but
We're not, in fact, because the 9:45 was the Futures Council, so I can give you a brief update. Futures Council's on hiatus because there are no current projects that they're working on. And the chair of the Futures Council was Jennifer Purcell, and she moved. She got a different job, and she moved to Salem. She's working for the Higher Education Coordinating Commission. And so we're without a chair, which hasn't been a disaster because we also don't have a project at the moment. And so we also don't have a budget ask. So that's the Futures
okay,
Council.
so that becomes a TBA then for the
Yes.
future.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you for that, and I remember when the Future Council was founded, and I think it's from time to time it's been most useful to the commission.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I would encourage you not to put it too deep into the back burner.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I also value it very much as an interface between the commissioners and the community to gain community input on important things. And I think that will definitely be using them soon when we move into some strategic planning and community outreach and, but they wrapped up their last project and we didn't have one for right now, so we're just taking a little break.
Who's on the Futures Council these days? I used to know everybody. David used to be on it. Gary
Right.
Buller,
Sure, yeah.
Neil the Salmon and stuff, and
Yeah.
I knew Jennifer. Who's currently on it?
The, well, Ross from the college. Rick Nealand is still on it, and he was one of the founding members. Christy Forster from TEP.
Dusty Linnell?
Thank you, Dusty from OSU, and Val Folkema.
So there's a full board except for Jennifer's top spot.
I think
Is the
we
only one
have
that's
two,
open?
we have a couple vacancies.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thank you.
Are you interested?
This is their time.
I should have never asked that.
Sign him up.
Don't put me on the spot on camera.
That's okay.
Okay, well, thank you for that, and I guess we'll just say they have made an appearance today through a commissioner, and we'll say that we're done with Future Council and nothing to talk about as of the moment. Okay, next up is EDC, and I don't know if we've got.
Good
someone
time
on-
for a break.
It might be time for a break. I was gonna suggest, if we could make some adjustments, Tassie is sitting here, would it be possible then to move the clerk up, or do we want to stay with the published schedule?
That's up to you guys.
If Tassie's ready, I'm fine, but do we want to break?
I would
right
love
now?
a break.
Well, I didn't see a break in the morning session, so let's take at least 10, and let's come back at pretty close to the 10:10, and then we'll do the clerk.
Perfect.
See if we can catch up there. She usually